Hey everyone, Editor Knight here. Just wanted to give a few quick notes before we dive into this breakdown. First of all, you didn't misread the title. This is part 1 of the Babel Has Fallen breakdown. Mango and I sat down on Discord to record this earlier this year, thinking we'd get it down to an hour or two. Re-recorded for 6 hours. So, while I've been able to edit this down considerably, it still felt too long to make into one giant video. So instead, I've broken it into multiple parts. I'm going to try and upload a part every week or two, so stay tuned as the series updates. One other thing, I'd like to apologize in advance for the really poor quality of the audio in this video. I tried to use my nice mic, but my computer at the time was not cooperating, so you get to have the lovely audio straight from the Discord recording. Despite that, I hope you find this breakdown interesting, and if you have any further questions about what we talk about in this installment, please put those down in the comments, and Mango and I will be happy to answer them, considering we don't answer them in a future installment. And with that, enjoy the breakdown.
Do you want to start or shall I?
I'm trying to figure out how to start.
Lo and behold! It is here at last, the explanation.
We're here! We're finally doing this. Finally breaking down Babel Has Fallen in all its glory.
I'm so excited for this.
This should be a time.
It's gonna be a great time.
I mean, we pretty much, gush and break down the songs of this album just together in our own time, because we get so excited about writing music.
Yep. I'm Mango, by the way, if you're not familiar with my voice from the Q&A video. Hi.
Yes, this is Mango, and I am Knight of Endale. Let's see, I'll probably put something on the screen to help keep track of our voices, if I'm that savvy of an editor, but who knows. So, just as a warning, start off, most of the Greek mythology references and breakdown we're actually going to save for last. Along with our grand breakdown of this tragedy of mine, which has been the most requested song to be broken down of the entire album.
Which is fair. There's a lot in there.
There's a lot going on there. So, you have that to look forward to. That being said, let's get into it. And the first song that we're going to start talking about is, I'd say it's the one that started it all. And that is Prometheus.
I'm Prometheus, I'm beneath all this. Can you hear me scream? Bring me anarchy.
So, Prometheus, the one that kind of started it all, the most popular song by a long shot on the Knight of Endale channel.
Which is, I'm just gonna say it's really impressive, because it was your second song.
Second ever, and it was the first one that I was actually doing most of the instrumentals myself.
It was the first one I was involved in, but what's interesting about it to me is even now we still get comments after the remastered version, which is epic, by the way, that there are still a lot of people who actually prefer the original version better.
Which you can understand. It has elements in the original that are just, I admit I didn't quite capture in this remastered version.
Which is fair, but I'd like to point out again that this is your second song.
Right.
And you had no idea what you were doing, and I had no idea what I was doing.
No, we had no idea what we were doing.
It was great, and I just think that's really cool that it still stood the test of time even then.
It's still standing it. Every day, it's still the most popular song. Actually, that's wrong. It has been overtaken by this tragedy of mine. But
okay, but that's fair, though.
And they go back and forth, kind of just depending on the week.
Yeah.
But yes, Prometheus was the second ever song. Do you remember how long it took us to actually write and produce, and how long it took me to actually upload Prometheus? Because I remember.
I think it was 24 hours. Probably 48 hours.
It was less than 48 hours. It was about 28 hours.
Wow.
From me conceiving of it in a car ride on a road trip to uploading it.
Wow. Do you want to tell the story in that one again? I know we told it in the Q&A, but sadly, a lot of people have not seen that. So I think it's still worth telling again, because it's a great story.
Yeah, so this is the story of how Mango actually got involved in the channel. I was working on Prometheus. I had the chorus, I had the first half of the first verse, and in the first verse, every line ends with fire, or a word that rhymes with fire. And if you didn't know, there's not a lot of words in the English language that rhyme with fire. So I was struggling by about, verse 6, or line 6 of verse 1. So, being stuck in a rut, I actually texted one of my brothers, who I told I was working on this song. And I told him that I was stuck. I needed rhymes for fire. I am out of words. About 2 minutes later, I get a text from Mango, which very much confused me until I realized I had accidentally sent that text message to Mango and not my brother. But Mango was down. She wanted to help write the song, so we just dove right into it. I think you called me like a few minutes later to work on the song.
Yeah, I think we just sat there on a Google Doc on the phone for a couple hours and just
Yeah, we did.
wrote it.
Because
the
we
whole
finished
thing.
verse 2 or verse 1 and immediately went into verse 2 and then immediately went into the chorus. Or not the chorus, the bridge. So yeah, I spent the whole next day working on the rest of the instruments and getting choir recordings from Mango and from Slapjack Gamer, and putting that all together.
Yeah, I think this is the only. Oh no, I don't think this is the only song that my voice is in.
It is the only song that your voice is in. Because I ended up doing the choirs on all the other songs.
Which are amazing, by the way. But there is something kind of interesting about the choir in this song because it has voices other than your own.
I think it's a combo of that and also the fact that there's actually a bass singer.
Right.
Which I
That's what I was
can't
gonna say.
do.
Just a guy's voice is very different than a girl's voice, and it adds a different texture. And I think it
adds
really
a whole
fits
different
this song.
Resonance on the spectrum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's great.
It adds a lot for sure, and I'm indebted to Slapjack Gamer for adding that epicness to that song. Although that is not his favorite song, actually. We'll talk about what his favorite song is, because he still listens to all of the songs we've done, despite the fact that he hasn't been a part of any of the others.
That's awesome.
Except he did help with Heart of Stone, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he helped me with some of the. He helped me with figuring out some of the guitar and drums because I was really stuck.
Yeah, fair enough.
So he helped me, get some ideas, brainstormed with me.
Awesome. Do we want to do any lyrical analysis on this one? I know we're pushing a lot of the mythology stuff back, but it's so intertwined in this song.
It's dense. Yeah, this is the beginning of the mythology and biblical references. This is kind of what put us down that road in the first place, which makes sense because, it's a Technoblade song. That was kind of his thing. There's all the mythology references.
And I do think even now, the two Technoblade songs are the thickest. There's so much work into the lyrics. They're so dense. And I think that just fits his character very well. It's like, even if you didn't know a bunch about his character, if you listen to the album, you can tell that those two songs stand out for that.
Mm-hmm. They have so much packed in every single line. Compared, like, a lot of the songs that we've done have so much packed into every single line. That's just how we write songs. But Prometheus, and then we'll talk about this tragedy of mine later, but Prometheus is just dense.
Yeah.
I mean, we were fitting everything from Greek mythology references to biblical references to allegories from Plato.
Yeah, I'm still pretty pleased with that.
And on top of that, Dream SMP references of like the actual lore on top of all of that. So that thing is just dense with layer upon layer of reference and metaphor. Like, everyone loves the comparison of Prometheus to Technoblade's character in Dream SMP. And I agree, I think it works very well. But honestly, my favorite reference reference in this song is the allegory of the cave reference.
Yeah.
And that's the one that comes up in the pre-chorus that says, "I tried to bring them fire, but these men still love the dark." Along with the Babel reference. The Babel reference is really fun because that kind of became the cornerstone of the album. But I tried to bring them fire. I just love that Play-Doh allegory.
Mm-hmm. And it comes back up again in the bridge too. You fell in love with shadow, learned to hate the flame it's from. Do we want to explain that allegory just a little bit?
Yeah, I was about to.
I don't know.
So, Plato's allegory of the cave, if you're unfamiliar with ancient Greek philosophy, is an allegory from Plato talking about education or enlightenment. So basically, Plato recounts this allegory. Several prisoners are trapped in a cave in complete darkness, except for a lone light source coming from behind them as they are chained to a rock facing the darkness of the cave. Now, this light source casts shadows on anything that passes through the mouth of the cave. So they would play games trying to figure out who could distinguish those shadows the best. Who was the best at figuring out all these shapes. And they knew nothing of the actual world outside. Well, one day, one of the prisoners escaped the cave and came into the light, and it was a painful experience. But as he became adjusted, he learned that the shadows were only that. They were shadows of actual things. And he learned to know the names of actual things, and to know the world in the light. And as the allegory goes, he becomes enlightened. But he decides he's not content with just staying out here. He wants his friends, his fellow prisoners, to come and enjoy this light as he has. So he goes back down into the cave to try and rescue his friends, but they ridicule him for now not being able to see the shadows, or not able to pick out their shapes or discern them as well as he once was. But that's because his eyes have become adjusted to the light. He is now enlightened. And so he mocks his fellow prisoners about how there's so much better things out in the light, but they pretty much think he's crazy and they kill him. So that's the allegory of the cave, is this idea of enlightenment, paralleling the light within the cave. And it sort of parallels Technoblade trying to bring his form of knowledge or enlightenment, that anarchy is best, to the people of the Dream SMP. Did I explain that well enough?
Pretty good. It is worth keeping in mind that in each of these songs, you get the singer's perspective. So in Technoblade's mind, he is bringing this fire of enlightenment, which is a Prometheus motif, but it also really fits well into this cave allegory. This idea of, I can see the truth and you can't, and I'm trying to bring it to you, and you hate me for it.
Mm-hmm.
You've fallen in love with the shadow, and you can't see the real thing.
Which kind of parallels the story of Prometheus bringing fire to man. So in both cases, a being is bringing light to a people shrouded in darkness in order to try and better them. So he kind of connected those two ancient ideas, ancient stories, to create this one large reference.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
This one picture.
I would just like to point out the skill it takes to rhyme ancient Greek names.
We have become well practiced.
To
say.
This is the first song in which we rhyme it, where you got Prometheus and Theseus, but it is not the last.
Thankfully, Prometheus and Theseus, easy rhyme, right?
Right.
That is a pretty easy rhyme.
To be frank, once you know how Greek names work, it's not that hard to rhyme them. But,
yeah, true.
But it's still an impressive feat.
Yeah, we really take it to the fullest, as we'll see.
Yeah. The way I left their city in November, I still really like that line. Who came up with that one?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Verse 2 is a blur.
I just remember I came up with the Ravens line, and I'm still really pleased with that. But the fact that you added the Raven in the background cawing just
That's
made
still
it.
one of my favorite sound effects in the entire album.
Oh, that was great.
Like adding the sound effects to Prometheus is like one of my favorite things I did. Like it elevates the entire experience.
Yeah. This is a great song. I love
Yeah.
this song.
It is well loved for sure. And that's why we started out with it, because it not only is it it's definitely the most popular song, it's also just it started all of this. It's a melodic and lyrical cornerstone of the album as well, which will be important as we talk about the rest of this album. Most of the following songs, or most of the songs in the album, have either a melodic or a lyrical reference back to Prometheus. We have two other cornerstone songs, which we're about to get into, but Prometheus has the most references back to it. So if you go back and listen to the album, you're gonna find that do 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 do, or the da 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 da. You're gonna hear those melodies somewhere. You're gonna hear reprises of the bridge. You're gonna hear references to Prometheus and to Babel and to Titans and gods, Theseus. You're gonna hear all of these over and over in these songs. It's a cornerstone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one that we firmly built on.
Did you want to talk about the Imagine Dragons song?
Oh, sure. I don't think many people are surprised at this point, because I've already admitted it elsewhere, but Prometheus was heavily inspired by Imagine Dragons, specifically the song Believer, because I'm an Imagine Dragons fan, and I was obsessed with Believer in high school, so it kind of it fit. So it was definitely inspired.
Yeah, you can hear it in the rhythms, kind of.
You can hear it a lot, especially in that bass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of cornerstone songs, I think we should move on to our second song our second song that we're going to talk about.
Editor Knight here again. That's it for this installment of the Babel Has Fallen breakdown. Again, if you have any questions, please put those in the comments. Thanks for listening this far, and we'll see you for the next installment when we discuss You Dreamed a Dream. Bye!
Let the fire burn. Embers, that's what they were left with to remember. The way I left their city in November.